Ni kore salutas ĉiujn partoprenantojn de la interlingvistika simpozio, kiun organizas ĉiun 3 jaron la interlingvistikaj studoj de la Adam Mickiewicz Universitato en Poznano, Pollando, jam la 5. fojon, sed virtuale la 1. Ni ĝoje bonvenigas niajn 300 aliĝintojn el pli ol 40 landoj kaj el 5 mondopartoj, de Eŭropo ĝis Oceanio. Iuj ankoraŭ eble dormas, aliaj jam estas post vespermanĝo, sed feliĉe la prelegoj estos rerigardeblaj en la sistemo. Estas honoro por ni, ke la vicrektorino de AMU, profesor Katarzyna Dziubalska-Kołaczyk, estas kun ni. Ni petos ŝin poste malfermi la simpozion.
We would like to extend a sincere greeting to all of the participants in the Interlinguistic Symposium organized every 3 years by the Interlinguistic Studies at Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznań, Poland. This year is our 5th symposium and at the same time our very first virtual symposium. We're happy to welcome all 300 participants from more than 40 countries from 5 different regions of the world, from Europe to Oceania. Some are still asleep and others will have finished their supper. Happily, the presentations will be available in the system. It is a great honor for us that the Vice Rector of AMU, Professor Katarzyna Dziubalska-Kołaczyk, is with us today, and I would like to ask her to open the symposium.
Thank you. Chcemy serdecznie powitać wszystkich uczestników sympozjum interlingwistycznego organizowanego co 3 lata przez Studia Interlingwistyki Uniwersytetu imienia Adama Mickiewicza w Poznaniu. To już 5. nasze sympozjum, ale po raz pierwszy odbywa się wirtualnie. Z radością witamy 300 uczestników z ponad 40 krajów i 5 części świata, od Europy aż po Oceanię. Niektórzy jeszcze śpią, inni są już po kolacji. Na szczęście nagrania prelekcji będzie można obejrzeć w systemie także później. To dla nas zaszczyt, że pani prorektor UAM, profesor Katarzyna Dziubalska-Kołaczyk jest dzisiaj z nami. Proszę ją zatem o otwarcie sympozjum.
Thank you very much. I understand this is my time. Right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, Professor Koutny, dear organizers. Thanks for inviting me to open the conference. To open the 5th Interlinguistic Symposium. Well, maybe first I'll start with a few words about AMU, Adam Mickiewicz University. To all of you who haven't been here or who will hear about it for the first time. Adam Mickiewicz University is the 3rd largest and best university in Poland. It has around 40,000 students and 5,000 staff. We include 20 faculties, which are distributed along 5 schools. These are the schools of languages and literatures. This is our host, so to say, today. But also there is the School of Humanities, the School of Social Sciences, School of Exact Sciences, and Life Sciences. In fact, our school, the School of Languages and Literatures, is the largest, and it comprises 3 faculties: a Faculty of English, Faculty of Polish and Classics, and Faculty of Modern Languages, which exactly is the major organizer of this event today. Well, linguistics at Adam Mickiewicz University is very strong. So in the rankings, we do appear very high. So in this sense, I say we, because I'm also a linguist, right? So I'm very happy to be here as a linguist as well, not only as a representative of Adam Mickiewicz University. Well, from what I know about this symposium is that it's already the 5th. That was the idea of Professor Koutny, and that this is the symposium organized, in fact, by the postgraduate studies of interlinguistics at Adam Mickiewicz University. And that, in fact, this is an Esperanto conference, in the sense that Esperanto is a language of communication. But the topic, for instance, today is about how languages help in intercultural communication. So the topic is the most hot topic you can imagine these days, right? So, and this is something also that we care about very much at Adam Mickiewicz University. We have programs like Epikur, for instance, who is very much about multilingualism. We have Bilingualism Matters Center, which I'm happy to chair. So we do care about multilingualism. I have one kind of private note in a way, because among the specialists who have been visiting this symposium is Professor John Wells of University College London. And well, I mean, of course, I've known John Wells for my whole life as one of the most distinguished phoneticians in the world, and also of the famous dictionary of pronunciation. But he, of course, he figures as a specialist in Esperanto, which I've always admired as well. Yes, I think we are very happy at Adam Mickiewicz University to welcome all of you participants of this interlinguistics symposium, and I wish you all the best. I wish you success with this very specific type of communication, which is now something we need to get used to, online communication. So I congratulate you on this decision to organize an online conference. And I think this is a time to declare the conference open. Thank you.
Szanowni Państwo, dziękuję za zaproszenie.
Via microfono.
Ilona nine audas vin.
Kio? Oni ne audas vin?
Mikrofonon. Yes.
Aha. Ĉu oni audas min?
Yes.
Nun yes.
Yes, bone. Do la vicrektorino profesorino Katarzyna Dziubalska-Kołaczyk prezentis mallonge nian universitaton. Tio signifas, ke ĉi tie studas 40,000 gestudentoj kaj la stabo de la universitato estas ĉirkaŭ 4,000. Troviĝas ĉi tie 20 fakultatoj, kiuj estas organizitaj en 5 lernejoj. Kaj ĝuste nun reprezentas la lernejon pri lingvistiko kaj literaturo, kies gvidanto li estas, kaj cetere ĝi estas la plej granda en la universitato. Ĝi fakte entenas 3 fakultatojn, tiujn de la pola fakultato, la anglan fakultaton kaj la novfilologian kaj lingvistiko en nia universitato estas tre forta. Cetere li komence diris, ke nia universitato havas bonan lokon en Pollando, estas la 3. Plej forta universitato en Pollando. Li kore bonvenigis la 5. interlingvistikan simpozion, kiu havas ankaŭ tiun specialaĵon, ke uzas la lingvon Esperanto por la komunikado. Multlingveco estas grava parto en nia universitato. Ni estas ankaŭ en la sistemo aŭ grupo Epikur. Kaj ŝi ankaŭ menciis iun privatan rememoron, nome kaj profesoro Wells, kiu estas konata en la mondo kiel elstara fonetikisto, kiu verkis ankaŭ vortaron, kaj ŝi eksciis en iu momento, ke li okupiĝas ankaŭ pri Esperanto. Mi mem persone devas diri, ke profesoro Wells partoprenis en niajn interlingvistikajn studojn, kaj dum tiu tempo li fakte prelegis pri ĝenerala kaj esperanta fonetiko. Do ŝi laste bonvenigis ĉiujn partoprenantojn, gratulis al ni kaj deziris sukceson por la konferenco, kaj per tio deklaris la simpozion malfermita. Ĉu idam mallonge pole aŭ ni supozu, ke ĉiuj komprenis la anglan kaj esperantan version?
Oczywiście większość z Państwa zna język angielski, bardzo dużo osób również Esperanto. Pozwolę sobie bardzo krótko przetoczyć słowa pani profesor, pani prorektor Dziobalskiej-Kołaczyk po polsku. Będzie to wyjątkowo krótkie streszczenie. Pani prorektor podziękowała za zaproszenie jej na nasze sympozjum. Przedstawiła bardzo krótko nasz uniwersytet. Jest to trzeci największy i najlepszy oczywiście uniwersytet w Polsce. Jest na uniwersytecie tak zwanych 5 szkół, na które składa się 20 wydziałów. Nasza konferencja organizowana jest przez Wydział Neofilologii, który jest również jednym z większych wydziałów na uniwersytecie. Sympozjum jest o tyle wyjątkowe w tym roku, że będzie odbywało się wirtualnie. Jest także interesujący z tego względu, że używany na nim jest język Esperanto, co jest oczywiście dosyć nietypowe, ale w tym roku tematem będzie nie sama esperantologia, a rola języków w komunikacji interkulturowej, co jest tematem dosyć bliskim naszym sercom, ponieważ wielojęzyczność jest bardzo ważnym tematem, często podejmowanym na Uniwersytecie Adama Mickiewicza na Wydziale Neofilologii. Pani profesor zaznaczyła również, że jeden z gości naszego sympozjum jest jej osobiście znany, głównie tak naprawdę jako fonetyk i fonolog, profesor John Wells. Z kolei osoby, które posługują się Esperantem, wiedzą, że pan profesor Wells jest esperantystą od bardzo dawna. I tym samym pani profesor Dziobalska-Kołaczyk życzyła wszystkim udanej konferencji i uznała konferencję za otwartą. Dziękuję.
Thank you very much, and let's begin our first session with 2 plenary talks. And the first speaker will be me, Ilona Koutny, and I will give you an introduction to the main topic of the symposium. It means the role of languages in intercultural communication. I am a professor of linguistics in the Institute of Ethnolinguistics, Faculty of Modern Languages and Literature of Adam Mickiewicz University, head of the Interlinguistic Studies and head of the chair of Hungarology. My research interests include intercultural communication, pragmatics, lexicography, Esperantology, and Hungarian linguistics. Kiel unua preleganto mi enkonducos fine la ĉeftemon de la simpozio rolo de la lingvoj en interkultura komunikado. Mi, Ilona Koutny, estas profesoro pri lingvistiko en la Etnolingvistika Instituto, fakultato pri modernaj lingvoj kaj literaturoj de AMU, gvidanto de la interlingvistikaj studoj kaj gvidanto de la hungarologia katedro. Miaj esplorkampoj rilatas al la interkultura komunikado, pragmatiko, leksikografio, esperantologio kaj hungara lingvistiko. I will speak English and I will use a presentation where sometimes I add some information in Esperanto. I've chosen English in order to give for the most people an introduction to this topic. So I try to present now my presentation. I don't know if it is seen. Can you see my presentation? Hello? It is to be seen, my presentation? So I hope that it is you can see the presentation. If not, I ask the organizers to do something. Sonia, estas en ordo? Ĉu oni vidas mian prezentaĵon?
Yes.
Hallo? Ĉu mia prezentaĵo estas videbla?
Yes.
Bone. The title of my presentation is also The Role of Languages in Intercultural Communication. It is only a photo in the case if my camera wouldn't work, and I would like to show you my international background. It means the participants of the international interlinguistic course with students, as you see, from Korea, China, Turkey, Brazil, and also even there are one Polish participant. So it is the content of my presentation. I would like first define all the basic notions, and afterwards to go on with the linguistic aspects of intercultural communication in different settings when the mother tongue of the partner is used, or if they choose a common international language as English. And I will a little bit concentrate to the use of Esperanto as an international communication tool, presenting the different aspects of Esperanto. So, culture in broad sense, of course, it is not just art. There are a lot of definitions, and they contain normally the following elements. Culture has external signs of culture which are visible. These are clothes, food, buildings, and so on. Institutions as educational institutions or cultural, economic, political institutions, and so on. And to remain in our conditions, so the school system is very different in different countries, what we understand under college or academy or professor. Well-known personalities, real or imagined, are part of the culture, and the culture of communication also is an important part of our communication. The verbal side, if we tell good afternoon or good day, or there are languages which are using other expression, and the non-verbal part also is very important. The customs are important, and everything is reflected in the language. So we master somehow the reality when we give names to the things, to the customs, and so on. Culture has another part, the so-called internal culture, which is not visible, which is hidden for us. It is about the manner of thinking, the mentality. If we tell directly no, if we can refuse an idea and request, or we try to have some strategy to avoid this topic. The beliefs and values, which are the determining part of our behavior, are hidden. What is good and what is allowed in a given society? It's very different. Polygamy in our country is not allowed, but there are countries which is a normal thing. So this part of culture is profoundly in us, but often even not conscious. Permit me to present only one model. This is the onion model of Hofstede, because it illustrates very well these levels of culture. Inside are the values which are not visible, and afterwards come the so-called practices, which we can see, the rituals, the heroes, and the symbols. Even his definition is interesting, and I quote it. Culture is the collective programming of the mind that distinguishes the members of one group or category of people from others. cultures, we acquire cultural patterns, norm when growing up during the so-called process of socializations. These norms are influenced by the natural surroundings, social structure, and history of the given country or community, and that of the region. As for Europe, we can mention that culture is influenced by Christianity, Greek and Roman culture, a similar climate, fauna and flora. But for Asian or African countries, there are different settings, different backgrounds. So our cultures have big differences. Nowadays, we are living in the area of globalizations when the contacts are changing. The new technology enables us to contact with persons far away from foreign countries, from foreign cultures through the tools of the internet, smartphones, and so on. People are traveling for pleasure or for tourism, not at the moment, but they are doing that. And even they are traveling for the work. So we experience increasing mobility in the world, which is a special challenge in the current age. It means that different cultures meet each other, and this may conflict with each other and strengthen their own values on both sides, but they can also mix, for example, in global workplaces. And let's see now how intercultural communication takes place. It means communication of individuals or groups from different cultures. And here we treat only with different mother tongues, because for us the different mother tongues are very important. The difference in the used language is important. When we meet other cultures, we need different food customs, institutions, and so on, which can be learned, which about we can read. These things are the so-called realia. They have special names. We have to learn these new words. They are culture-specific material elements with the special words in the language. But if we go further, what happens when we are communicating with excuse me, it is something. Yes, when we are when people are communicating in different cultures, what can happen? If we don't know very profoundly the language and the other culture, we can miss connotations, allusions to different objects, events, persons of the other cultures. And we all know that how difficult it is to understand jokes because of the different education and cultural background. We know that verbal communication is only the tip of the iceberg, and there are below a huge amount of knowledge which can be different, and even we don't take care about it. It is about the other way of thinking and different values which are present also in the communication. So sometimes it is difficult to adapt to this other customs, other values. They can be even not acceptable for us. And so-called cultural shock can occur when somebody is staying longer in another country, and it is difficult to overcome. And to do so, you need awareness about differences, openness and tolerance for the otherness, and empathy, and looking for similarities in order to work together. Even intercultural competence is already introduced and taught during courses on intercultural communication. Intercultural competence means cognitive, affective, and behavior capabilities that is defined in the Oxford Encyclopedia. It encompasses knowledge about, it means cultural self-awareness and knowledge about other cultures. It encompasses attitudes. It means curiosity and openness for the other cultures, respect and tolerance for the other opinions and values, and also skills which can be taught to listen, to observe, to analyze, and view the world from other perspectives. But language is less mentioned in these studies. Although language and culture are intimately interconnected, language reflects how we see the world. There are a lot of researches in Poland about linguistic worldview, Bartminski and others. Let's look at two examples, which is about the segmentation of the word by linguistic etiquette. You see a picture with a tree and a bank, and a wooden bank there. There is a difference. There is a tree and wood. In German, Baum and Holz, or France, Arbo, Bois, even Esperanto, Arbo and Ligno. But are there different things? For me, as a Hungarian, not. We have only one word, fa. And Japanese also, they use one word key for the both notion, for the both linguistic etiquette. So you see that the reality could be, can have different linguistic etiquettes. We could go on with many other interesting differences. For example, the distinction between he or she is very common in many languages, but it is not necessary. In Hungarian, we don't use it. And not use the difference between she or he can contribute to a suspense in a novel. You are already on the 5 page, you know everything what this person has done, but you don't know if it is he or she. And there are other, it causes less problems for the sexist language use. Intercultural communication is related to communication, cross-cultural psychology, social psychology, linguistics, anthropology, and education. And as I said, there is less attention drawn to language use, so I'll try draw your attention to the language used in the communication. Fantini mentions language proficiency as a skill. Linguistic aspects of intercultural communication are important. They are determined also by the setting and situation of the communicating partners. We can distinguish in different situations. Let me distinguish two different situations now. Somebody, a tourist or a migrant, arrives in a country, in the United States, Germany, or France, or Poland. They should learn the language of the country in order to communicate successfully with the native speakers. We will have today a presentation about the use of the global language, which is English, and the local language, which concludes that to have real success in a given country, you should learn the local language. We mentioned that there are other aspects of the communication in international conferences, organizations, between business or scientific partners, when some chosen official languages are used. This is mainly called international communication, and then the question of official languages rise, official languages of UN, of UNESCO, or on the EU summits, conferences. If we look at the linguistic aspect of intercultural or international communications, I would like to ask two questions. Which language should be used to communicate in an intercultural international context? And the second question, what kind of influence does this have on the outcomes, on the success of the communications? Are there differences if we use different languages for the same goal? And now let me distinguish the situation when the mother tongue, the first language of one of the partners is used. So there is a native speaker, and if his or her language is used, so this language, this culture prevails. So if somebody comes to another country to stay there for a longer time, this person has to adapt to the local culture. To some extent also in other circumstances, in negotiations, is advisable to know the language of the partner. But this could lead to inequality in communication. And it is not only cultural and linguistic, but also a psychological aspect. Some kind of a feeling that we don't know the language on the same level as the other partner knows. The native speaker masters the language, masters vocabulary, expressions, furthermore connotations, culturally charged elements, and the other partner, the not native speaker, has a linguistic handicap, not understanding some elements, and even sometimes not conscious, not understanding this element. So this partner can miss the deeper meaning of the message, and misunderstandings can occur. There is a lack of capability in the side of the not native speaker for nuanced, subtle expressions. And in that case, this person may seem less polite or less educated than they are. And they can inappropriately explanate their opinions, propositions, and this can result in exclusion from the discussions in social life, and therefore less contribution to the decisions that concern them. About, you can read the paper of Gazola, and this unfair treatment from the host society means social disadvantage. The other setting when we use a common international language, not native language of one of the partners. For example, a Mexican or German communicate in English or Spanish with a Frenchman or a Hungarian. Foreign language for both partners. This common language is a foreign language for both partners. There is some kind of equality, but of course it could happen that they have different levels of knowledge and gaps in the knowledge because they have other background. There are problems of pronunciation, or grammatical difficulties for different speakers of given common language. But nowadays English is an international language, or a lingua franca, a kind of English which allows communication by people with different mother tongues. Sometimes it is said English is the possession of every individual and community that wishes to use it wherever they are in the world. So English doesn't belong more to the English speakers. There is even a movement for it because there are already more not native speakers of English than natives. So they have to direct the development, as was said by Jenkins. Although not every native speakers agree about that, as Faris has written about it. And the norms are not so defined in this international English. There are approximately 7.5 billion inhabitants in the world, and how many people speak English? Some of the there are very different statistics. Some said that 20% of the Earth's population is speaking English as English. But there are only 360 million people speaking English as their first language, and 231 million in the United States. But English is widely spoken. English is by the most commonly studied foreign language in the world. There are different statistics on it. In Europe, English is spoken by 13% as first language and 38% as additional language, according to Eurobarometer. Here you can see where English is spoken as a native language in the world. So these regions are limited, but the use of English as a second language is much more extended, as you well know, the circles of Kachru, that there is an inner circle, the speakers in the United States and UK, and outer speakers where English is spoken as a second language, as in India, Nigeria, and the expanding circle means the people who are learning English. And a number of African countries, English is an official language because of the colonialisms, and it is the same for some Asian countries. So the data of Ethnologue is that there are about 7,043 million speakers of English. The problem is, what is the norm, the American or the British English? But in every case, even for this English as an international language, these two main variation of English are considered as a model. And Native American or British English is culturally charged. There are a lot of verbal phrase, collocation, phraseology in the language, and a particular word view is expressed there. And now let me present an alternative. Communication tool for international communication, which is created for this purpose. This is Esperanto. Esperanto is a neutral language. It is the mother tongue of nobody. Of course, there are some people who speaks Esperanto as a mother tongue. There are about 1,000 persons in the world. But for the most of its speakers, Esperanto is not mother tongue. So it gives equal chances in communication without psychological and social disadvantages. The language is transparent, flexible, and regular. That's why it is easy to learn, easier than other languages. you need less time, energy, and financial investment to learn it in comparing with other languages. Of course, everything depending on your mother tongue and the language you are learning. If you can learn quickly a language, it gives you an experience of success. And we could tell that in this context that Esperanto needs less energy to invest. It is an ecological language. It is less charged culturally, but not sterile. It contains elements of international culture influenced by the source language cultures and has some kind of own culture. The speakers can transmit their own culture better. So Esperanto is a real alternative tool. Let's come back to linguistic flexibility. It has a simple and clear word formation and periphrases. Piron, psychologist, said that Esperanto follows the spontaneous making up of words. We can tell that the rules of the language Esperanto can be generalized. It means the morphological possibility are limited only by semantics. For example, if you don't know the word ganto, glove, so you can try to make up just word maningo, manuyo, it means hand container, or manvesto, hand classes, as German would said it. There are many interesting aspects which I could discover during my research. The linguistic flexibility can be seen also in the word formation. So from the same concept, basic root, several words can be made up. So let's start from vendi, to sell. From this root comes shop, vendejo, vendisto, salesman, vendistino, saleswoman, vendajo, merchandise, vendebla, easy to sell. Or we could present every other word, learn to learn, lernanto, pupil, lernejo, school, lernajo, material to be learned, lernema, diligent, lernebla, learnable, lernigi, make learn, mem lernanto, autodidact. So you see that the same root is used very well to make up words which meaning are clear, not only for the speaker but for the partner in the other side. So it is easier to transmit the information and even the culture of the speaker. And the decoding is more appropriate on the receiver side. So you can use any reprenitaino, so enter, take a train, as some languages do it. But you can just make up entrainigi, in train getting. So using the possibilities of the language, or sidijas alla tablo, sit down to the table, al tablijas, to table sitting become. Words taken from European languages, that's true. The basic stock of words, the roots, comes from European languages, but the word formation goes beyond them. I've carried out a typological analysis about that. So tableau, table is European, but sur tabligi or al tabligi, no more. Esperanto also has cultural influences of the universal or mass culture. So we use the same, la suno levigas, the sun is rising, which is not true, as we know, and the new words are present in the language. We can tell that junai homoi portas ginson, kai tochemizon, ili trinkas colaon, kai manĝas hamburgeron, aŭskultas hip-hop muzikon, aŭ mem repas, ili kontaktiĝas per interreto kaj sociaj medioj. You see the translations. The new words, poŝtelefono, interreto, retumilo, babilejo, blogo, virtuala realeco are present in the language. But Esperanto has some European sources. As I said, the basic words comes from Indo-European languages, and even the segmentation. So tell me only one example, the segmentation of the colors. There is verda, green, and blue in Esperanto, although in some Asian languages there is only one word, as in Japanese, aoi. The family terms also reflect the segmentation of the word according to the European languages. Esperanto has an inclusive culture, as all said it, and Esperanto is spreading awareness of various languages and cultures. And it can bridge between languages and cultures. There was some translations made through Esperanto, for example, the classic Hungarian poem John the Brave into Chinese. The culture during this 130 years of existence, it is the proper culture is developed. There are organizations, congresses, meetings, flanks, Esperanto families, abundant literature, and everything mirrored in the language. Esperantisms are rather widely understandable and transparent. There are some phraseologisms, but they are transparent. Analysis of Esperanto culture can be seen in the works of Melnikov and in that one of Sabina Frieder, who will be our next speaker. And the communication through Esperanto can be done. There is an international speech community, which is a voluntary, non-ethnic, non-territorial speech community. And Esperantists are eager to know other cultures, open to other customs. They are peace-loving, solidarity. Of course, you can ask, maybe they are myths. We need much more researches in this field. The common language gives the basis for working together. The skills are better developed because of the less ambiguity in the language. There are fewer misunderstandings because of the transparency of the language, and that's why the communication is more efficient. As a personal experience, I can tell, I'm speaking 6 languages, but there is a difference speaking in Esperanto or English or Polish even. The Esperanto adapts to me, and it is not me who has to adapt to the language, as in the case of ethnic foreign languages. So Esperanto is an intercultural language in friendly relation, not in the international relations. And my conclusions, so intercultural communication is a complex phenomenon. It means cultural, linguistic, psychological, sociological aspects. An awareness and knowledge about differences, openness and curiosity for otherness, empathy are needed with appropriate skills. Looking for common features, universal human, in order to work together and feel solidarity. A special intercultural competence can be developed. Efficiency depends on the common language to be used. Communication on an equal basis involves the partners more, is more fair, and better ensures the successful accomplishment of the communicative goals. English as a lingua franca is very widely used in international contexts, but has no clear norms. An alternative model for international and intercultural communication is Esperanto, which is transparent and flexible as to the structure and has less cultural baggage, is especially convenient as an intercultural language in friendly relations and to bridge between culture. So thank you very much, and furthermore, you can see the bibliography to this lecture.